Okay, with the last lesson we kind of went over how to illustrate what he's saying with his head motion and a tiny bit of body movement and the direction of his eyes, kind of just to support what shapes his lips are doing to kind of give the illusion that he's saying what you're hearing. So let's go a little further with that, and we're going to be talking with our hands, basically. When a lot of people stand there by themselves and talk, they like to illustrate their point by different hand movements and everything. And even me saying this as I'm recording, I'm actually illustrating by talking with my hands. So anyways, let's do this. Let's go ahead and just grab the hands, and we'll start off by kind of putting them in some key poses to, you know, kind of get an idea of where we want them, you know, moving as he's talking. So let's go ahead and turn on playback. Let's go back to audio scrubbing so we can hear what we're doing. Let's kind of expand this window so we can see our waveform a little bit. So he starts off by saying so let's kind of just bring his hands up here at the very beginning. Actually, maybe they're hanging down at his sides at first, but then as he starts talking here, he'll just kind of maybe bring him out, palms up, and just kind of bring him upwards. Let's go to our side view and move that over. Maybe not really illustrated, just kind of like he's just kind of trying to think a little bit. And let's just copy that pose over to the other hand. There we go. And maybe just change this one up just a little bit so there's some variety. Okay. And then maybe he kind of maybe just curls his hands into a loose fist. So let's grab the rotate manipulator mode there. Just kind of grab his fingers and rotate them a little bit. Just a loose hand movement there. And we'll kind of move that back a little bit maybe. Careful we don't move his hand through his leg there. So let's grab all those guys that we animated and go ahead and copy that over to the other hand. Do the same thing we did earlier, just kind of move this one a little bit different so it's not perfectly symmetrical. Okay, so we got... Okay, I guess we didn't have a keyframe at the very beginning. So let's grab all these guys again that we moved. And just Alt-G, Alt-R, just to clear them out. And we'll grab them and move them back down to where they started off. There we go. And you can see it automatically put the keyframes in here. So let's actually do the same thing on the other hand. And again, make it a little bit different. Okay, so now we got... See, it's just the subtle movements that really help. So he's going to say the quick brown fox. So let's have him kind of bring his hand up. Quick brown fox. And maybe he kind of just flops the fingers open. Let's go to our side view so we can look at this in 3 dimensions instead of just from the front. Okay. He's like, there we go. Quick brown fox. And it looks like we have some keyframes set. Whip. Yes, we do. Let's go ahead and delete those so they're not... Okay, I deleted those because, like I mentioned in the previous lesson, where Blender automatically wants to fade to the other keyframe, if that makes sense. If you have a keyframe back here, it's going to constantly be fading from the most recent one to the final one. So if there's not one at the end, then it'll kind of just freeze at that spot, which right now that's what we want to do. So, okay, so... So he's like the quick brown fox. Maybe kind of brings his out a little bit more. Hand movement is a little tricky to kind of get. I mean, you wouldn't think of it being that important to a standard animation, but it can be a little tricky, and if you can do it right, it'll really help it look more believable, more natural, like the character actually is a living thing that's trying to speak and illustrate his point. So, okay, so let's see what this looks like.
The quick brown fox.
Okay, let's move this keyframe back just a little bit.
The quick brown fox.
And maybe bring that one up just a little bit like that. Okay, and what I want to do is when he says jumps over, I want him to move his hand over the other one. So let's kind of set up for that. So to say jumps, I want him to be ready to move his hand over. So it's jumping over the lazy dog. So get that ready like that. And we've kind of been neglecting the left hand, so let's go ahead and go back.
The quick brown fox.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and bring him up. And maybe he straightens these fingers out as well. Okay.
The brown jumps over. The quick brown fox jumps.
Okay, so we're getting ready to jump over, so let's get this hand ready to do that as well. And you can see the closer we move the hands to the body, his upper arms are kind of colliding with his body, and we don't want that. So let's grab that upper arm control and just rotate that out like so. But actually, before we do that, let's back up a little bit so it has a basis for movement. If we just move it, since we haven't moved it at all before, it's not going to have a keyframe to work from. So we need to come back just a little bit, actually on both of these, and let's just go ahead and insert a keyframe for the rotation. There we go. And now when we get up here, now we can grab these and rotate them out. And this one as well. Okay, so we got jumps over. So let's go ahead and move his hands to illustrate that. Okay, so let's... I'd like to have a little bit more arc to his hand movement. Actually, it's moving kind of quickly, so let's space these out just a little bit more. Now, like I said, I want to have a little bit more arc, so let's bring that up. Like so. Okay. Okay, so it's got that over the lazy dog, so we've finished that illustration. So we can move that elbow up just a little bit. Okay, and the way I'm rotating that is not on any particular axis, I'm just hitting R twice, so it'll rotate the way it needs to. Okay, so let's grab the other hand here. Okay. Okay, so now he's finished illustrating over. We can go back to the uncrossed hands. Maybe. Like so. And then grab this guy. And let's move that elbow back in just a little. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Okay, now he's finished talking, so maybe we're going to kind of bring the hands down a little bit because he's done illustrating his point. Okay, so maybe the elbow's rotated in a little bit too much. Let's grab this one, rotate him back out if we can. There we go. Okay, so now let's kind of see what the overall motion looks like. So
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
okay, looks
Brown
okay.
fox jumps over the lazy dog. Jumps over the
But it's not really looking like he's illustrating exactly as he's saying. So what we need to do is kind of get that motion of the hand over hand, which is right here. Actually, take that back. It's okay, so I guess it's right here. So let's just grab all of these guys, and I guess that one, and we'll scoot it back some. Maybe scoot this one back as well. Just grab all of these, and that one, move them back some. Oops, thought I was moving them. There we go. Okay.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Okay.
Brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Now we got some shoulder movement that's not quite matching up, so let's kind of grab these and move those back as well. Gotta be careful with this.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Okay, that looks alright.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Okay. So let's see what he looks like without his armature visible. Let's go ahead and turn that layer off. Rewind.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Okay.
The quick brown
It looks good except for, you notice right there, his hands go through each other. So we need to go in there frame by frame if we have to, and make sure that that doesn't happen. Just kind of move some of these around. And let's just grab this keyframe while we're on it, and maybe kind of rotate his hand up and move it up just a little bit so we actually clear. Almost there. Maybe we'll come up to this keyframe here and move it up a little bit too, just so the movement, the plane of movement, I guess you could call it, is just higher altogether from this keyframe to this keyframe, so we don't have to worry about those colliding. Okay. Okay.
Brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Okay. Well, that looks pretty good to me.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
So what we've done here is we've put all of this action into one single action, I guess, in the action library here, action editor. It's Baker Rig Action. Let's go ahead and name this Quick Brown Fox. Okay? So, Quick Brown Fox
jumps over the lazy dog.
is in this action. So, what I would like to do before we call it quits is I want him to be walking as he's saying that. Now, I could continue inside this action and go through and create a walk cycle and just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste the keyframes. Or what I can do is just go ahead and delete this action out and turn off my automatic keyframe insertion. Let's go ahead and clear out everything. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a quick little walk cycle that we can combine with that action that we just made and go into the nonlinear action editor and put them together. So let's go ahead and create a new one, and we'll call this one walk. Okay. Now, in most walk cycles, I basically animate the whole body, like the arms swinging, you know, the head bouncing, whatever. But in this one, since we already have the upper body taken, basically, if you want to think that way, we'll just animate only the legs and the hips and maybe some of the torso, but not basically from the chest up. We won't touch. Okay. So go into our side view, and we'll go ahead and rewind all the way. Go ahead and turn on automatic keyframe insertion. And let's just start working on a walk cycle. So I'll grab his left foot, or excuse me, his right foot. We're just going to move that up. It's going to be, you know what, that can help us prevent us from accidentally animating the wrong bones. Let's just grab all of those ones above the waist and everything, or above the chest, that we don't want to touch on accident, and we'll just go ahead and hide them. So now the only controls we have are from the waist down, or from the, I guess, the spine down. So we don't have to worry about accidentally grabbing one of those and putting a keyframe and messing up what we're trying to do. So anyways, okay, so we got the right foot, and remember the controls. This one controls the whole foot, and then if you want to come up on the toes, you use that one. So okay, so he's coming down on his heel. So let's kind of pretend that this gray line on that grid, if you can see it, zoom in real good, actually. You know what, let's do, it's going to move his whole body. I guess we can do that. Let's go to object mode and turn off automatic keyframe insertion. And just move, grab everything, the model and the rig, and move them up on the Z-axis, like so, until we have that green line, which will be our ground plane. So there we go. Now we'll grab the rig again and go back to pose mode. And now we can animate nicely along a set line, which the green line will act as our ground plane. So, okay. So let's zoom back in here. Let's go ahead and collapse this window just a little bit. And let's set up this quick little walk cycle. He's coming down on the heel, and on this foot he's coming up on his toe. So just move that Y-axis there. Okay, maybe these toes are kind of flipping up as he's walking. And these kind of bouncing down. Okay, so we got our first frame set there. Oh yeah, I need to turn that automatic keyframe insertion back on. There we go. There we go. Make sure we have keyframes on everything that we've moved. Actually, you know, at this point we can put keyframes on almost everything, just so we have them at the beginning. And we'll just go ahead and hit I. Location, rotation. We're going to be scaling any of these, so we just need to put them on that. We don't need to really control the knees, I don't think. So let's just go ahead and hide those as well. If we need to come back to them later, we can. Okay, looking at it from front view, he is a little bow-legged, so let's just move these feet a little closer together, like so. Maybe move the hips up just a little bit. And let's rotate them a little bit, like so. Okay, there we go. So let's come up about 10 frames or so. Actually, we're on frame 1 now, right there. So let's just come up to frame 11. Okay. And you know what? Let's go ahead and mute that sound again. We don't need it right now. Okay, so we're on frame 11 now, which puts 10 frames in between the first set and this one. So this one he's rolling down onto his foot. Okay, let's just Alt-R to clear out any rotation that it has. Drag it back, and that toe's going to go and slap down to the ground. Go ahead and clear out its rotation, Alt-R. And this foot's starting to come up. Actually, let's rotate it. He's coming up on the tip of his toe there, like that. Okay, let's go and move his hips up some. Okay. And I'd like to have keyframes set for each position. So even though we didn't move foot R, which is this guy, let's go ahead and insert a keyframe for it right there. Location, rotation. And the toe of the left foot, which is this guy, go ahead and insert a keyframe for there as well. So now we have keyframes on each section there for each of these poses. So let's go ahead and frame 21. There we go. And this foot's going to go ahead and slide on back. Maybe start coming up on the toe just a little bit. Okay, and this foot is up and swinging forward. Let's go ahead and clear out the rotation of that one, of the roll there. And maybe this toe is starting to come up. Okay, and let's go ahead and grab the hips. raise those up just a little bit. And, you know, need to go ahead and change their rotation as well. Like so. Now the toe on the right foot, there. Go ahead and insert a keyframe. And there we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at this so far. So that looks pretty good so far. Yeah. Okay, so trying to decide. I think we can probably go ahead and loop over, just copy this keyframe and paste it to the opposite side. So let's select everything. And let's go ahead and hide that spine. We don't need it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and copy this pose here. And we'll come up to frame 31. Okay, there we go. Paste opposite. And we should have a full... Oops. Okay. Okay, I didn't paste opposite. I pasted, just pasted normal, so I need to go opposite. There we go. So now we should have a full, there we go, a full step. And we'll do the same thing on this guy. Copy, go up to frame 41, and paste opposite. And we'll come up to this guy, copy that, go up to frame 51, and paste opposite. And then we'll be completing the loop. So we'll just go back to the very first one, copy that, go up to frame 61, and paste normal this time. So now we have a full walk that can be looped. Okay, so now let's go ahead and save this, and we'll go in here and open up our NLA editor. There we go. Click on our little snowflake there, and you can see we automatically have that action strip added in here, but we need to loop it. So come down here, and how many times you want it to repeat? Let's just repeat it on and on until the end of our segment here, which is 96 frames. So we don't need to repeat it that many times. So just about, that's fine. So now we can see it's actually very slow steps. So let's do this. Let's set the scale down a little bit. Let's go to the end so we can see where we need to go. So the scale is going to be let's try 0.75, and we can set the repeat up a few more. There we go. And another thing, basically what this is doing is it starts at frame 1 and ends at frame 61. And remember, frame 1 and 61 are basically the same. So what this is actually doing is when it starts at 1 and gets to 61, it's kind of repeating the same exact pose twice. So let's just set the end frame to be 60, so when it gets to frame, when it finishes frame 60, instead of going 61, which is the same as 1, 61, 1, the same frame, this just goes 60 and then loops back to 1. So you have a nice, even, seamless pose there. So there we go. Okay, so we have his leg movement in this action strip right here, and we want to go ahead and add the quick brown fox. There we go. So now we can go in here, and he's talking and walking at the same time. So let's go ahead and make this window a little smaller. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn on our, actually everything's on, we just need to unmute it there. Go ahead and save. And we'll rewind and go ahead and play.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
He's walking as he's talking, and honestly...
the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
He's walking really slowly, so let's grab that walk cycle again. And let's go ahead and set the scale. Let's try 0.5, and then we'll bump up the length all the way till it gets to the end of our clip. So,
the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
So there we go. The footsteps are a little jerky, so you know what, let's try to smooth those up just a little bit before we call it done. Go to our graph editor. Actually, we need to go to our action editor first, which is the dope sheet, and we'll go ahead and load in the walk. There we go. And we'll go to the Now we'll go to the graph editor and just select everything, and let's go ahead and just smooth the keys. Just smooth them a little bit too much, it looks like.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy
They
dog.
look really weird now. Let's undo that. Make sure everything looks fine.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Okay, and then you can see it just showed the walk cycle once because I'm in edit mode now, and it's not the NLA editor. So, and actually this pose is loaded into our editor here, so that's the one it sees first. So we got that, and well, you get the idea on the walk. So we won't spend any more time trying to clean that up. You can kind of on your own, maybe if you want to do maybe a run cycle. He's talking and running at the same time. Maybe he's jogging, talking to somebody beside him or something like that. But let's go ahead and go back to our NLA editor. And okay, what we need to do now is go back to the dope sheet and go ahead and clear this action out of our visible area here. Just go ahead and hit the X there. And now we will go back to the NLA editor. And we can see
the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
So there we go. Okay, well, I think this is the last lesson for this section. We might go on further, depending on how this series is taken. But anyways, that's going to be it for this first series. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a few things. And I hope you liked Little Baker here. So thanks for watching this series, and I'll see you next time.